Welcome everybody. Hi, welcome everyone. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Hartford Select Board, our special listening session on Tuesday, September 10th, 2024 at 6:05 p.m. At the Wilder Library. We have agendas out front if you want to get a sense of what we're going to talk about tonight. There are bathrooms upstairs and downstairs, and there's snacks over here. What we're going to do, if you look at the agenda, I think the select board will start. We'll introduce ourselves to everyone. We'll introduce the new town media and communications specialist. And then we'll talk about tonight. Our meeting is being essentially facilitated by the PRISM group, and we'll introduce them and we'll let them take over. So I'll start. I'm Mike Hoyt. I'm chair of the select board. I'm from West Hartford. Brandon, if you want to introduce yourself next.
Sure. Brandon Smith, select board member.
Great. Lanny.
Lanny Collins, so live out.
Sue Buckholz, West Hartford.
Good. Ida.
Ida Griesmer, I live in Wilder.
Good.
Kim Souza, Hartford Village.
And Mary.
Mary Erdine, clerk, okay, Wilder.
All right, great. Well, we're the select board, and this is our town manager, John, for those of you who know him. I'd like to introduce our new town media and communications specialist, JD, if you could say some words.
Yeah, hello. So I'm JD Hawks. I'm Warrior Junction, born and raised. So I am now coming on to kind of, help steer town communications, kind of more consistent, clear voice. So the idea and kind of the crux of my role is to kind of consistently, put out messaging so you can't tell, if it's coming from the clerk or if it's coming from, the finance department, you can kind of understand that it's town of Hartford, So yeah, basically some things that I'll be kind of doing, updating the website, populating calendar events, putting things out on social media, listservs, some of the poster for tonight's event, was posted around, that was me. So something we're working on. If you go by town hall right now, there's a giant hole in the ground. We're getting a new digital sign in front of the building. So we'll have some, messaging right there if you're waiting to turn on Maple Street or, so that'll be nice. A lot of towns around have that kind of like, meeting tonight, so that'll be a good way to kind of get some information out. I have kind of a journalism background, so I was in TV news, so taking photos and video is part of my background, so I'm gonna try to implement that in what, ways that make sense. Basically, kind of steer departments to try to get information out there that makes a lot of sense. So like, road closures, water main breaks, project updates, events. Just kind of getting the information out to everybody who wants it. So, and then that's going to be training staff to try to, kind of implement that in the best ways. So, no one's had this role before. This is the first time, the town has ever had this position. So, that's, one of the reasons we're having, tonight, get some input to figure out what folks actually want to see, because you get a lot of different ways we can go with this. I've done a lot of looking around at what other municipalities do around the state, next door over in Lebanon, they do a pretty good job of getting information out. So I've been trying to see what they're doing and try to work. But yeah, so we're just looking to kind of, listen tonight, get some viewpoints from everybody, ultimately try to, promote transparency in what everybody does town hall every day. Throughout the town. So that's kind of all I have. But
Great. Thank you.
Welcome aboard, JD.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
JD touched on, I think one of the goals here tonight is to discuss like what kind of information are you, the public, looking for from your local government, and what's the best way for us to help get it to you. And I think that's, a great conversation to have. I would say as we go around, if people have comments, just introduce yourself and tell us your village branded if you'd like. Then I'll turn it over to PRISM for them to introduce themselves and kind of kick off the evening. So.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Eaton, and I'm with PRISM Conflict Solutions. I'm a recovering lawyer, which means I was terrible at communication. And ever since I started doing this, I'm much better at it. But I'm really pleased that you're all here tonight, and I'm really pleased that we're going to be talking about communication tonight. That's absolutely critical in every, as I've learned and have learned in every aspect.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anita Drake. I'm also with PRISM, also a recovering lawyer. And we have a big group here tonight, which is fantastic. So I think we'll set a few ground rules just to make sure that they put the space where everyone has a chance to speak. So first, we'd like you all to, someone speaking, to try not to interrupt. If you have something to say, raise your hand. We'll make sure that we get to you. Second, no personal threatening remarks. If you could stay topical, that would be great. Third, if you have an electronic device, we ask you to, if you can, put it on silent. That way everyone can stay focused on the conversation. And if people could speak up so that everyone can hear, that would be great. And if you didn't hear, just raise your hand.
And I'll have one more thing, and I know this, I'm projecting, I think, a little bit, because I tend to go on and on forever. So, because we really, the goal here is to make sure everyone gets to speak, and we do have a dialogue. If you could keep, at least your initial comments, and I do want to hear all your comments, it's about, minute and a half, 2 minutes. And that's important, at least for the first go around, just so other people have an opportunity to speak. Looks like we have a great group here, people who are very interested in this topic of communication, so look forward to hearing from all as we move on. So, communication, let's start out. I think very broadly first, what are you looking for as townspeople? Wow. Oh, no, I don't. Where do I stand?
It follows.
Just keep walking.
Let's
Be right, see those two jobs.
Disconnected the taser.
So, first of all, as far as the communication with the town, and this isn't a complaining session, but how do you feel, everybody right now, as things stand right now, communication from the town to everyone here? Just very broadly, how do people feel about that? Is it? Yes.
I just start by saying, when I was recruited and hired, several people during that process told me that better communications from the town was a priority. So that's been in the back of our minds as we develop this position. So that's that.
Oh, okay. And anyway, why should it be a priority? Yes.
To avoid conflict,
Yes.
to
Yes.
inform people. So that we have a more consistent and direct, I'm one of the people, by the way, who's all about communication. So that we have a consistent place where we can go for information when we need it. Right now, it's very scattered. There's a lot of unofficial stuff that people think is official. Could somebody please change the official town's Facebook name? And I have one question to avoid things later. Does this have anything to do with school district communications?
I'm glad you asked that, and the answer to that is no, and I'm very aware of that situation, but this is specifically with respect to the town and the select board. So I understand that is a big issue, but if we could keep it, this meeting for the town, because I think it's important, we have JD, as John said, we're really trying to focus on that communication.
Can you introduce, like, I think as people speak, sorry to interject, because I think we're not doing introductions all around, but if you could say your name and then.
Kathy Melisick from my beloved village of Wilder, the first planned worker community in all of them.
Excellent, okay. Thank you very much, I appreciate that. Yes.
You might like this as well.
You asked what we're looking for in communication.
Yeah, and why is it important to you?
Well, I think what we're looking for is a void, because the local paper used to have a full-time reporter pretty much dedicated to Hartford. And that's fallen by the wayside. So you don't have any news coverage of town hall and other things like that.
Okay. And right now, where would you get that information?
That's the question you're supposed to answer for it. Oh, because it's very hard to track it down.
That's good to know. So, anyone else? Yes.
Sharon Wilder. Hartford Parks and Recreation sends out a newsletter once every couple of weeks that kind of summarizes things going on, give dates, links to other information and whatever, which is very, very helpful, because you're interested, you can click on it and find out when it's happening and what it is. And if you're not, you can bypass it. You don't get anything like that in town of Hartford in terms of what's going on or, you know, easy access to information or news or whatever.
Okay, and yes, okay, absolutely.
All right,
What's your name?
my name is Theodore Tim, I'm a native, grew up in Wilder, down in Hartford. You know, I lived in White River, and to go to Wilder, because it was wild. So one of the things I noticed right away, when this woman spoke over here, one of the things that the townspeople want, it's a town, okay, so if you're talking to the town, she wants to know about the crazy stuff, I can say that differently, but the crazy stuff that the school board was allowed to do, okay? And so it's a matter of people having accountability. You know, I feel here and everyone says, oh, I won. And I have a pet peeve right now with some traffic matters, but, you know, a few people will make a decision. And then we have a vote that averages around 1,500. Well, there's 13,000 people in this town, so you're disconnected the other people because you haven't listened in forever. So when that happens, you know, the town wants to know, you know, because as she wants to know about this school board, I as well do. But I also am very concerned about planning. Who do these people answer to? You know, and it seems to be, you know, some of them think they have the power of God, and in reality do, but it's the town, okay? You know, I'd be ashamed to be a town official. I mean, it's pathetic. You have 13,000 people in this town, and they're not gonna vote because they realize nothing they think matters. So how are you gonna change it?
So, and sort of turning that back to communication, do you feel that there's an absence of communication? What might make that better, communication wise?
Right, but you discarded it when what was your name?
Kathy.
Kathy said, you want to know about the school board, because there was some smart people throwing some stuff at those guys. And about BSA, well, they broke a BSA, why isn't the town lawyers all over?
Yeah, and I am aware of that, but my understanding, at least for today, is we're gonna be focusing on.
You ever see that's exactly what the problem is, because you're saying we're gonna focus on them. This is why these people showed up. They want answers to those things, and they wanna know who it is we're gonna go to, you know, because we do creative things, you know, we had a lot of money in the budget, because we didn't get much snow. So, you know, there's some roads that could be repaired. We bought a brand new trucks, everybody driving a brand new truck. And, you know, the townspeople that are in that kind of field are saying, what's the deal? And there's many, many things like that,
Okay,
you know.
okay. I do appreciate your views, and like I said, it's an opportunity for everyone to talk, and I appreciate it. Definitely, there'll be more discussion to come for tonight. But right, anyone else, yes?
My name is Ken Perry, 11 from White River Junction, most people are know me. But I actually came here from a different angle tonight, because I actually think that, number one, I want to thank you guys just for having this meeting. It's, you know, when we had done the town manager search as an example, we had reached out to communities kind of somewhat individually. I think there's a lot to be said for the village pride thing here that we have to kind of continue to keep a pulse on. But I just want to say that for me, I think there's a lot of efforts to communicate in this town, and I think a lot of people in this town do exceptional work. I think the challenge and the tension lies in sort of decision-making process. There's a lot of big decisions that get made in the town in a given year, and I think there's a lot of built-up frustration that decisions get made without this type of engagement. So I think that honestly, everyone's well-intentioned, there's a lot of good work that happens, but I think there's a growing frustration that's somewhat exhibited here, around sort of the process of how we get to decisions as a town.
Okay, and I'll follow up on that, that's a very good point, but yes.
And I think part of that frustration comes in, hearing these thousand, part of that problem comes in with, at times, the town not listening. For an example, this town voted on parking meters and said no to parking meters. But somewhere along the line, when we had some money, we bought parking meters, they're not installed, and they're in storage. So when the town does that, it creates a feeling of no communication. Because if our vote isn't a communication enough, what is?
Okay, but that raises a really good point, what would you like to see? What types of things would you like to see communicated? Is it something like that?
Obviously, the
Okay.
town, the town, and yes, it's only 1,500 people or whoever that voted. But they did vote. So,
Well,
I'm just saying that that's part of why we need communication. Because they were bought, they're not installed, people ask where they are, money, how much is spent, blah, blah, blah.
and so that is maybe some of these, sort of maybe public works or public, like, leaders, and that would be something that you would think that would be.
Or if there's a way that the voters and the townspeople can communicate better, because obviously the vote wasn't a communication.
Yeah, and the vote, the vote's one thing, but what I do like about, like, and I've been around, I don't know, in Newbury, it's Newbury Village, there's like 1,000 people in town. So we've had, and so we just kind of walk in the village and do everything, but, I've been involved in boards over the years, and I think it's really important, communication, because there's this idea of transparency, and so following up on the other point that was made, and there's your point as well, is communication and transparency sort of go hand in hand. Because people, they feel like they don't know what's happening. The decisions are being made, that they don't know that. It's really not an issue, usually that I find in my book, it's not even something bad, or not wanting people to know, it's just the communication issue. So it's a very important thing, and I think when I do these things with towns, boards, that's really, I think, at the heart of this, trying to communicate better, so people understand how decisions are made, what's going on with the town. Yes, later.
Yeah. Ray Collins, select board member. So, Mary Lou, I just want to correct you on a couple things. Parking meters have not been purchased yet. They're not in storage. We're still looking for, I think we're still in the RFP process, to get the meters. We are in the process, but the money is not coming from tax dollars. The money is coming from ARPA funds.
That's not my issue.
Well,
The town, my issue, we're here on communication.
Yeah.
And the town, I think voting is a form of communication, a pretty good form
understand.
of
The
communication.
problem is that I think is happening, particularly around this topic. And not on this topic, but the topic of, the 1% local option tax, is that there's not enough information put out there to the public on the part of the town to inform them of to members of the town, to inform them of the need for such as parking meters downtown, or the need for the 1% local option tax. How many people in this room saw their taxes booked this year? Okay, a lot of people saw their taxes booked this year. Okay, and if we have a 1% local option tax, that would offset the taxes, all right? And I mean, nobody likes to see 1% local option tax, but it's a way to defer your taxes and get your taxes lower. Everybody spoke highly about having cannabis coming to the town of Hartford. Everybody said it's gonna be great for the town of Hartford, let's have cannabis. I was the only one that said, what is it gonna do for Hartford? I was the only one. What's it gonna do for the town of Hartford? What's cannabis gonna do, okay? I wasn't a member of the select board at the time, I was just a citizen. But I asked all of you, what do you think cannabis has done for the town of Hartford? Nothing particularly for the town of Hartford at all. Cannabis is not one thing helped out the town of Hartford.
Excuse me,
It's helped out,
can we get back to the
yes.
please?
But that's about communication. That's the thing.
And I understand, and that raises a good point.
That's the communication part that's missing, is understanding what things are gonna do. How do you communicate what's best for the town, what's gonna help the town? And that's the part that's been a thing all along for many years, haven't it?
And that's getting, okay, that's exactly what we are here to talk about.
Yes.
What are the things, but Lanny raised a point, and I will get to you in 1 second.
Okay.
I'll let you hand it up.
Yep. And there's at the end, but online.
What, online as well, okay, we'll talk about, what are some of the, keep this in mind. Also, what are some of the things that you want to see communicated? Because there's always, there's something too much communication, meaning if you throw lots of things out at people, too much, things get lost. So it's really important, I think, to try and prioritize and get a sense of what are some of the things you want to see communicated. And I think.
One of the things that we did, we said how much it would give us for income from local option tax. But we never stated how much it would save individual taxpayers on a $200,000 property. And that's one of the things we gotta filter down to the lower level to make it more understandable of what local option tax will do. And that's where we fit. We didn't communicate it to a level of understanding that people could see in their own tax. That's our figures.
Fair enough, thank you, Lenny. Yes.
Hi, my name is Barb Middleton, Barb Roberts Middleton. I grew up in this town. I still own 2 properties in this town, one of those is my mother's, that was left to my sister and I, and we have them as businesses now because we use them as rentals, and I'm very concerned, my number one concern with this town is safety. I mean, and I'm not getting anything from any officials. In the last week in Wilder, there has been a robbery at one of the businesses down by the river. There has been a break-in over here. There's been hypodermic needles found on Sunset Avenue. I never grew up in town and saw any of that. And I don't know what's being done about it, but I hope something is. And it's not just this town, it's the whole stretch of Route 5. There was a bomb passed out in the St. Paul's parking lot under the eaves. There was a camper van. I mean, this town is turning into a bum city. And our property values, I hate to say it, are gonna go like that. So that's one of my major concerns. I know we need to help the homeless, but how much? So how much? And what do we get to live? And my daughter owns a property over here, and I told her the other night, keep your doors locked at night. My ex-husband owns a house over here. The cops called my daughter because her name is the same as his. There was somebody hanging out in his yard, and he had locked the doors when he left. We never had locked doors in this town, but it is a major concern, and I'm not hearing anything from any select board members, from no higher ups in this town about the problem.
Public safety.
Safety, and that's the number one problem with the safety, are these people that have come to town.
Okay, thank you, that definitely, I can see that's a concern.
And it's this town, I mean, Hartford as a whole, it's not Hanover, it's not Lebanon, it's not Norwich, it's Hartford. And I'm not against helping the homeless and the more people that, I am not against that, and I think we do our fair share in this town, but we have to think about our own townspeople.
Thank you. Kim, is there some people online?
There's one now, want to give it a try and see.
Yeah.
And just so everyone knows, I love the turnout has been so good. We also have currently 17 people
Wow.
on Zoom, so. This is important. Okay, so Emily McDonald, go ahead.
Oh, hi. Thank you all so much for the opportunity to speak. And welcome to the new communications coordinator. And shout out to Jam because the participation remotely is working really great. So I'm going to answer the 2 prompts very specifically, and I'm going to be brief. One, how would I like communication to be received? I would love it if the town created a communication center on the website. And that was like the one-stop shop, single source of truth for all communication from the town, because I have gone looking for communication before, and the website is kind of hard to navigate if I'm looking for like a news release or a press release or something like that. So I would love like a newsroom or a communication center on the website for these things to be posted. And 2, with regards to what is communicated, I think one thing that for me stands out is I would love to know that the town can get me timely communication and like how that would happen. So just as an example, let's say there's a boil water notice on my street. Oh, I live in White River Junction. I think I forgot to say that. Let's say there's a boil water notice on my street. I would love to know that the town is going to use, VT alerts, which is the statewide system. It's a great system. I really enjoy getting like updates from VT alerts. So I don't know if the town could use VT alerts or could have some other system set up, but I would love to know that the town could get me a timely or, emergency alert and then know how that would come to me. That's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yes.
Hi, Mike Floyd. A couple things I was thinking about, just focusing on the communication, sort of come up, I think, with some of this. One is with sort of the decline of the local coverage of really local issues in town. You don't get that from the newspapers, so there are other means that sort of pop up to try and fill that gap, whether it's the listserv, whether it's various Facebook sites, things like that, right? And so I think there was an opportunity for the town at least to be a little more proactive through each of its departments, maybe doing like a weekly or monthly like newsletter going. Like we have this, in our town manager reports every couple of weeks, the police department has the significant activity report, right? And that lists all the things that sort of happens, right? There are ways I think the information's there, but it maybe be brought to the broader public in a way that's like systematic, like on a recurring basis. I think that's a good way to reach out. Plus it's the town basically saying, this is what's happening, there's like, you get a really, I think, accurate sort of picture of things. The other.
How they get the communication out?
Well, that's the way we think about it, right? The town takes a role.
You mentioned.
SIGX.
Oh, yeah, okay, so like the town manager reports in our select board minutes. Like they list like the numbers of like, police calls, fire calls, things like that. But you gotta go look for it. You may not know where it is, right? And it may be worth bringing that to the forefront and highlighting that. So I think that's something where the town could improve. The other thing, when we deal with communication, I hear from people is like, how do I get my questions answered, right? I reached out to a select board member, or I emailed the town manager, maybe I haven't heard back, right? And so we've always sort of thought about, could we have like a central, like a ticketing system, right? Like you bring your question, here's your ticket, we get back to you within a week or whatever it is, right? And a way to at least keep track of inquiries that come in and make sure that we've responded to them, right? So I think there are things like that we can do. And what kind of information, I think, is another thing where we need input from the town, right? Like someone mentioned Parks and Rec, we do a great job sort of advertising their programs and what they're doing. How about the planning commission? What have they approved? How about police? What have they been doing? Are there going to be patrols? Where, things like that. So I think there's a real opportunity on the town side to be a little more proactive and try and put that information out there to people, right? I mean, some people, and as it was mentioned, we don't always have a very high voter turnout, right? Some people, this may not be what they're interested in, but we want to make sure it's available to those who really want to learn it from the town and the town operation. So I do see, I see some opportunities on our part to improve that.
Mike, do those police reports include activity from the outreach program that's run out of the police department? Does that give information, how many people they reached out to? Because my understanding is they're now without a social worker. So I just wondered if there's data that survived every time they do their thing.
And maybe John has.
Yes, we're close to fully staffed now at the police department, and Greg Sheldon tells me that he's prepared to kind of roll out his plans for the future. We have one full-time outreach officer, Lieutenant Commander Carl Ebbinghausen, and they hope to have another officer as soon as they have recruited and filled a couple of final positions.
So at the moment, he's the only one?
I'm sorry?
So at the moment, he's the only person in the outreach.
That's the only one in outreach, but they hope to, again, give them another full-time officer for that purpose.
Thank you, John. I have two hands, I guess.
I'm Bonnie Fields, and I want to second some kind of communication. I think I would want the listserv every day. You give me that time of the select board meeting, but you never give me
what happened. I mean, just go back to point by point and just say pass and I didn't pass, The other thing is I really would like a point person that I could go to. Can I give you an example that for these dog parks?
Yeah.
Today I'm walking my dog.
That's what I
Yes, yeah. Down here at Kilowatt, there is a homeless shelter. I don't know if the town knows about it. It's pretty well kept. They keep their food in because my dog couldn't find it. So, you know that you're not just leaving junk and trash around, but it's definitely people are living down there. But I don't know where to go or who to go and it'd be nice if those little things that you had one number you could call.
Well, I'm happy to serve that function. I get calls like this all day long, and I forward them as appropriate to the right departments. At least I try to. And with respect to issues of homelessness, we generally have good collaboration between our Ebbinghausen at the Outreach Center and our health officer, Brett Mayfield. Brett has his own page on the town's website, and he provides, I think, weekly updates, at least to town leadership about the activities that he undertakes to keep the public safe.
So it's my saying it tonight, really get to know somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to follow up on it, but you can certainly call me with any more details or.
Are you the town manager?
I am.
I'm sorry, I don't.
That's okay.
What's your name?
John Haverstraw.
John.
Yes.
So if I called and said, I want to talk to John, I know who you are.
That's right.
For your information, John is easily available on the website.
We changed the names. John Fox is now J.E.
Okay.
I maintain the name John.
That's because you're a little older.
That's it, I get privileges.
So,
It's
I
so
just
happy.
wanted to say as an example, who would you call about
Yeah.
dogs barking nonstop? We don't have like an FAQs kind of thing. The search function on the website is kind of,
Please do have animal control folks, and I'd be happy to forward that.
we have animal control again?
Yes, we have. Oh,
See, but those are
There
the
we go.
stuff,
I did
that's
not
the
know.
stuff that needs to be
Oh, okay,
communicated.
that's a very, so one thing about sort of the services or the appointees or where people can go to deal with certain things.
Yeah.
That seems to be a theme that, sometimes people just don't know, right?
What's the conduit?
What's the conduit? Yeah, who's the conduit and then who deals with it, whether it's animal control or, do you do have people? In fact, the town does have people to deal with a lot of these things.
By the way, somebody mentioned they see what's coming up on an agenda, but they don't know what happens afterwards, which we do publish minutes. And the law requires us to publish minutes, which is a point by point summary of what happened with every item on the agenda. That's available.
Okay, yes.
I'm glad you brought up the minutes, because that's what I was going to talk about. I tried to find the minutes today, and I think when you do revamp the website, they should, if you try to find the minutes on the homepage, there's nothing that says select board minutes. You have to go to agenda, then there's another list that says select board. Then you get to the place where the meeting is, and I was looking for the July 9th minutes, except they're posted with the July 23rd agenda, which is an 86-page document, and the minutes were on page 46. So it took me longer to find the minutes than to read them. So I would encourage our new communications officer to have a special button for recent select board minutes.
And what's nice about websites, you can do that, right?
Exactly.
But this is what's great about this. People need input, people need ideas, and I think with the web, you can see those things implemented. I know nothing about designing a web, in fact, I'm pretty illiterate, but I've seen things like that, so, anything else on sort of content?
When we do have two more hands up, when you're ready, I also just wanted to point out that this has been a long time coming, and with the leadership transition that we've had, we are well positioned to really capitalize on this opportunity to improve communication. We are our new town manager and having a communications position. And one of the things that Kathy Melisick brought to the board at least a year, probably more ago, was the basic function of communication is that all the information goes onto the website. So anyone looking for it can find it, or have it be easily accessible through the website. And then it can be propagated to various listserv different outlets, social media, that kind of thing, but that, so if someone's looking for it, they know where to find it. If they're not looking for it, it might cross their paths as well, like, so, that I think is super key to the just basic function of providing information. We need to balance some sort of happy medium between spoon feeding the tons and tons of information that comes through the town every day to each individual resident and having it, residents be able to easily access and understand the digestible information from the town. So it's like, there's this spectrum that I think we're getting closer. I'm really excited about the opportunity. And do you want to hear it online or?
Yes. And then
Patty Holmes, White River.
Hi, Patty.
In terms of communication, there's a lot of folks in the town of Hartford that don't have computers or smartphones, and they might not get the Valley News. So they can't access listserv or Facebook or whatever. So how's the communication gonna get out to those folks, and how do you find out who those folks are?
Really good question. Yes.
I'd be curious to know if you have any ideas.
Yeah.
Rugby center.
I mean,
Because a lot of,
I mean, it's
part of the population that she's talking about is older.
Well,
So
the
I
80
think
to
that,
90-year-olds who really care about this town, who might not have.
so looking for the one access that, I don't know.
I mean, how much will a mass mailing cost? I mean, if you find out those folks who don't have.
sorry, that just reminded me that, that there is also, and this has got room for improvement too, but on the website, there is a little notify me option that you can check the box to receive emails, like, for example, when I just got one recently about something, but for just town news, or for when the minutes for the select board meeting come out, or the agendas, but there could be a thing that maybe people could sign up for an actual physical mail update or summary, where, we're not doing it, it's like an opt-in thing, where we're not trying to send it to every resident in the town, but there might be 200 people that sign up for it.
Put it at
But how
home.
do they sign up for it if they don't have access to a computer?
Well, I think that's not.
Okay, yes, and then.
Yeah, Bonnie, I think we are also as responsible as the town. We talk about communication, it's two ways, but if we would want something to happen, we need to, like, I have a brother that has a stroke, he cannot, and I have another friend who's homebound that cannot use a computer, they just don't have it. I know those people. I would like to know where I could go to, the big thing, to go, that we could give the town that information so they can have it. Because some people won't know, we can't, figure it out, but our neighbors, we know our neighbors, we know our neighborhood, we know our family members, and I think we also have part responsibility. And then if they choose not to participate, that's their choice, as my brother. But I think it's supposed to be.
Oh, sorry.
Mary or I. And one of the things to kind of piggyback on what you were saying is that this is a very, very old-fashioned way of distributing information. But there could be possibly a place, whether it's the town hall or wherever it is, for people to be able, if they don't have access to computers or they hate a computer, to be able to drive up and have your news printed, on a board where, they could either sit in their car, or if they're wheelchair bound, we have a ramp at the town hall, but somewhere where they can get access, because people do get out. They do get groceries, they do go to other places, but we need a place for them to be able to see the news, because when we were doing FEMA, applications at the town hall, I was amazed at people who don't have a computer, I have a cell phone, but I only use it as a phone. I don't know, where do you want to get your information? Mail it to me. That's the only way that they got their information. So, I mean, not everybody is, is,
There's a lot of them, like,
yeah,
the local newspapers not covering it, and that really,
Right.
there's that void. That's
Right.
a Really interesting point.
Yeah.
Go
a
back-
lot of folks can't drive and they don't have time to drive.
Hi there,
Hi, well, you are covering it. See, I'm wrong.
we used to have Matt Hummel's Headley, who had the Hartford week, we miss him. But hi, I'm Rebecca White, I'm one of your state senators, along with Senator Allison Clarkson. And I just had 2 points that I want to bring up. I'm really impressed with Windsor, so we represent like the whole county, so we get to see a lot of what the other communities are doing. And I would just say Hartford is actually doing really well with communications comparatively, so this is incredible to see. But one place we could improve is the Windsor town, their town manager puts out an e-newsletter, I think it's every week.
Every Friday.
It's like updates from Tom Marsh, and it gives you kind of a slate of what the town is doing, very similar to Parks and Recreation updates, all in a shorter form, and then like general events, like they had a free hot dog on Wednesday evening activity that he highlighted, and I was like, you know what, I can make that. Thank you for reminding me. So it'd be great to see something like that, and I know he puts printed copies out in his.
So people can access.
Yeah, so if you wanted a printed copy, and he gives them to like different community groups as well, so you can have them at the Bugby Senior Center as the example. And then the other.
Take them.
Take it out. Exactly, yeah.
On wheels volunteer.
Oh.
Bingo. But the other point I wanted to raise was, we have done mailers for voting day to like tell people when the town meeting cycle is, and I've always gotten really good feedback that people like getting those, they put it on their fridge and they go, I know what days the meetings are. So it would be really incredible to have that for like select board meetings for a year. Like, here's when all the select board meetings are, here's the dates, you know, like some kind of, here's when the Parks and Rec meeting on this is, if there was a calendar that was more visible and properly shared on a regular basis through the mail, that would be helpful. And the last thing I'll say is, in bigger cities in our state, if you have a boil water notice, they call you, like the school district calls, like when you get like the school closure notice, they call you, and you get like an automated thing being like, your street for the next week, you can't boil your water or something. So we could do like a robocall system, and I know they're annoying, but if they're really helpful bits of information, it's great to have for people who don't have online access and just have a landliner. So those are my 3 suggestions,
My
but
only,
we're doing good.
my only response is, first, yes, we definitely are mindful of the Windsor example. Jamie's been made aware of it. And second, as to boil water notices, I know DPW has their own protocol for hangers on the doors.
Oh.
And I think they do make phone calls when they can out and follow up after the test comes clear, so you can hopefully use your water. I think they have a protocol that you can always do.
Right.
So they've been really good as far as, we've been noticed knocking on the door, talking to people. So, that's good.
Right, we're doing a quick change here, and so I'll be people. Find the time to speak. My name is Victoria. And I think that's why Jordan over here too. Why don't we start here and then we'll go to the 2 online.
My name is Jennifer Matter. I actually was gonna stay silent and observe. I'm a little fish out of water here. I worked the last 10 years, getting up in the morning and driving 50 miles out of town and coming home at bedtime. Prior to that, I raised kids in this town, and I was very active and very much a part of it. I've lost touch, but there's some things happening that obviously got my attention. I'm one that posted about some South Lake River. I posted numerous other posts out of anger as to what was going on in our area. And the funny thing is it does come back to communication. When I made that post, 3 of my posts have over 140 comments of people going back and forth in their own experiences that are going on in town. And what my immediate thought was, these are all people, now all of you, many of you have come out and gotten part of things like me. Previously, who wanted to speak about something, but others just had a natural knack for this and wanted to be part of the town. But there's a lot of people in our community that don't feel welcome, don't feel part of it, and want to, but just don't know how to be a part, or maybe they just don't wanna, they're gonna stay on the shore and observe, they're not ready to step their toe in the water. My personal feeling is that
People, when COVID happened, I hate to go back to that, but I think a lot of people this was their world, their home became their world. Some of us reached out onto our streets, some of us may be home and school. We lost touch with our neighbors. I saw that on a post. We lost touch with who was having a baby in the neighborhood, who was having trouble with their husband or wife that needed their lawn mowed. We don't communicate locally anymore with our neighbor, with the people down the street. We do if we're involved in schools, and then we have grandchildren. And it's hard for it again to get involved, and that's where I am now. I have a lot of feelings on communication, but I think it starts at a very, I hate this term, grassroots, kind of way down at the bottom. It doesn't start here and trickle down. And I hear a lot of, let's start up here and we'll trickle it down to everybody. And that's not how it works. If you want to start communicating and you want to get people involved again in this town, it's time for this building to become available to those who are local to this street and from, 12A or whatever, to have a representative to attend stuff like this and have potluck seasonally or have moments where people can come in and feel free to walk in. It's more of a social atmosphere so that people feel a part of it. It's local to their streets, so they feel like they know the people around them, or it's valuable to them, because quite honestly, there's a lot of people here I don't know, and they don't live in my neighborhood. And I'm not saying that is disinteresting to me, but for a lot of people, this is where it matters to them. So if we can create a situation where here in White River, somebody's representing and these, buildings are available to have somebody to come back to those people in that town area and say, here's what happened at the meetings, here's what happened at this, and help explain that. It's not just about computers and digitally calling and emails. It's about communication directly to the people that are here living here. And you people are naturally involved, and for whatever reason, but there's a lot of people who want to know what's going on and just don't feel that welcoming, feel connected, but want to know. And I don't think it starts here. I think it starts here and it has to trickle up, because as much as the communication needs to come down, it needs to go up. And we have to have people locally talking to one another and then bringing that up, and in turn, that will come down. And then people will get more involved. You want more people at school board meetings? That's how you do it. You want more people like this? That's how you do it. And I'm sorry, because I'll make it so that you don't have to work for anybody anymore. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. That's great. Do we have a couple more online?
Sure, we've got 3 hands up at the moment. Let's
Okay.
go with Michelle, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Michelle Boleski, White River Junction. I missed the first part of the meeting because the sound was crazy. It was like 5 million people talking at once, so I didn't hear the beginning. I understand there were 2 questions from Emily. I was able to hear her. So how would you like communication to be received? I think, well, the other thing I want to say is congratulations, John. Yay, great choice. He was my student when I was in elementary school. I'm embarrassed. But you were one of my, you were one of my favorites. Great guy. So we're really lucky to have him. How would I like communication to be received? I think everybody added some great suggestions, and I sometimes do look at the listserv and Facebook. I have to say what we do really well, the Parks and Rec department is like A+++ as far as communication. They really, really do an outstanding job, and it would be nice to see perhaps other departments use that as a model. And then I also think that the Bugby Center does a really great job at getting information out to people. And so I always know what's going on. So what is communicated? Some of the things, I did see the Facebook post about needles in Wilder and how people were concerned. And I and then I saw some people talking about, well, we called the dispatch. And I think that I was talking to John Haverstack about that. And that if everybody that saw a needle called dispatch, they'd be overwhelmed, you know? So is there another way for residents to let the town know that these things are being seen? And is that something we want to have data on? You know, is there something that we can put on the website where people can communicate that? And what I found out is we're supposed to call the health officer, and I had no idea. So now I know. And I think it would be great if people knew that. So the other thing that I would like to see is policies, procedures, and protocol. Where are they on the website? I'd like to know what are policies, procedures, and protocol for planning? What are policies, procedures, and protocol for the police department? What is project outreach? Can somebody explain it? Can we have an outline of what it is or what it's going to be? You know, that would be great to see that. Because I've been hearing about it for a year and I still don't know who we're supposed to contact and what, and come to find out we don't have a social worker. So I think those kind of things are important to know, especially if you see things that are concerning, like who do you call? Anyway, I think that's it for now. Thank you for letting me share. Good. I'm psyched that I can hear things now too.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. And this is this idea we talked about a little bit, about having some kind of FAQ, some kind of place where people can go. If they have a question, who do I actually get in touch with? Yes, let's do two more hands up online and then we'll come back.
Okay. Go ahead, Lynn Bohai.
Hello, Lynn Bohai from Wilder. A couple things. I think it was during COVID, I would see on the listserv the minutes of the select board meetings condensed. I just looked at the last meetings and that was too much. That was much more information than was on the listserv at that point. It would be lovely to see a condensed version of the minutes back again on the listserv. Number two, the woman in white who just talked about neighborhoods and communities. Go to Greg Sheldon. I once went to a program about Rutland and the police department of Rutland, and they were very upset about public safety. And there was neighborhoods were formed sort of naturally. And Greg can help with that. And I think one of the things that Resilient Hartford was talking about doing in the very, very, very beginning was doing the same thing, was forming neighborhoods so that when we lost power, we lost food, we lost whatever, that your neighborhood would come and help you. Okay, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. And then next we have Ali Tafenjan.
Hi there, Ali Tafenjan, White River Junction. In listening to the conversation, I just first want to appreciate the richness of everything that folks are offering. I'm hearing threads around, what are the actual platforms and methods for communication? And then how is communications also a tool of relationship building, which is really, really important, as well as how is it a means of facilitating trust and understanding around process and decision-making. So there's so much richness here. And one of the things that I've been thinking about as a suggestion and a curiosity, and maybe this is something JD is already working on, is what is actually kind of an underpinning stance or a statement around how the town communications plan is actually connecting to the town's values, connecting to the voice of the town. Maybe that's something the select board could consider when they have their retreat. just to think about how the communications, not just the actual methods and the pathways for communicating and the tools, but how is it continually tying back to who are we as a town? What do we stand for? What are our values? So that it feels cohesive and more a means of actually being in community with each other and building relationship, which is the key. And one of the things around kind of understanding of process and decision making that I thought a lot about that I wish I would have been able to do when I was on the select board was have even just like short, helpful videos around like, this is what you can expect in the budget season. Like, this is what the budget season means. Like, from this time to this time, this is what it's going to look like. This is when you can engage. This is why it's important to engage between the months of, October and January. This is what you can expect in the town meeting day cycle to have your voices and your votes heard about certain topics, to make it really, really digestible for folks, because the government process is pretty opaque. It's not always clear. So I'm sure there are other models. I wonder if VLCT has some resources around this. We don't necessarily need to reinvent the wheel, but things that are really digestible for folks in not just written, but video format, even video digests around like what you can expect in the upcoming select board agenda, just to make it a little bit more exciting and enticing for folks. When you read it on the agenda on the website, you might be like, "Ooh, that looks kind of boring." But if someone says, "Hey, this is a 2-second tidbit about why you should come to, give your thoughts about Gate Street," that could be really, really helpful. Thanks.
Thank you, Ally. And do we have anyone on online?
No other hands up at the moment.
Okay, please.
Hi, my name is Sarah Ferguson, mother.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry. I still can't hear you.
Hi, Bonnie. Sarah Ferguson Wilder. My reason for coming here tonight is because, along with my general state of dismay, verging on despair about what social media does to our social connections, along with that, I feel that we have something here in Hartford that a lot of people don't really get, which is a sense of community, which does exist. And I really would like if there was some way to turn off some of the crap that's out there when people start getting into stacking up insults or stacking up offenses, particularly in the listserv and on Facebook. Both of these are things that I read because it's like watching a train wreck in a certain way. And so my perspective about this is, could we all just try to realize that we're all just human and we all care about each other to some extent? And that it would be really great if we could just turn down the heat. That's it.
Sarah. Thank you, Sarah.
Hi, Marcy Bartlett from Wilder. A couple of things. One, I'm on the town website almost every day, trying to find out information, and I'm pretty persistent. Yes, I know. But one of the things that is helpful is public comment session at select board meetings. And that's been reduced from 5 minutes to 3 minutes, which is 2 minutes, but it's not the time. To me, it sends the message that I better speak fast and that I'm not necessarily being, what I have to say isn't necessarily going to be wanted. There's plenty of times where different people on the panel take a long time when they speak. I would like the same respect. And I'm asking for communication. I'm asking for the opportunity to communicate on the schedule that I'm familiar with, because I watch the cycle on the select board and I want to know what's going on. And I have times where I pipe up and say, thank you for this. That's really important. We've had times with the police that they've done a fantastic job and they need to hear it. Same with the fire department, public works. I mean, when you can wave at the public works guys, because they know you and you know them, it's, yes, about water, I know. But it goes a long way. And the idea of reaching out individually
I'm too extroverted for my own good, but I will go meet my neighbors because I'm curious and I wanna know them. I know when their child had surgery. I know when their dog died. I know when they are having a hard time. I know when a loved one took their own life because I watch the news and read. And that personal initiative, there's no substitute for that, okay? But I do look for that, same respect at select board meetings that, if I'm gonna be held to a brief period, I want them to do the same.
Thank you, Martha. We'll hear it in a minute.
Hi, Tim Gardner again. I just want to speak to that because I think it's a really interesting point tonight. And I think one of the challenges we have as a town is the depth and quality of conversation in a 3-minute or a 5-minute segment is not going to be great, right? Because I've experienced the same thing both at the town and the school. And you don't feel listened to because it's such a short segment. Plus, it's hard to process that information for them also. So I sort of feel like we have to improve the depth and quality of our conversations as a community. And I don't think it's gonna happen in that venue. I think we have to identify the key topics that we wanna wrestle with as a town and then develop venues like this to talk about. Because there's no way that when if they got a 4-hour meeting ahead of them and they're tired.
No question.
They don't wanna necessarily hear from 10 people the same thing or whatever, and I honor that. So I think somehow we have to change that format so that we get better quality conversations and maybe skip the 3-minute segments and go for something deeper.
Yeah, Kathy Nellis, I think, I live across the street from Marcy, and I still remember 25 years ago when she walked over to introduce herself to me. I realize it's not the convention with a lot of people now, especially post-COVID. The sharing of information in the community is enormous. I mean, that's the way I grew up in Rutland Town, that's what I'm used to. The only little alarm bell that goes off in my head is the inaccuracy. It's like playing telephone a lot of the time. You know, your neighbor might say this, someone in a private Facebook group might say that, someone might say something on a listserv. Okay, that's going to happen, no matter what. I think we do need an easier way to get the actual information, the legal information. This is what actually happened, not that, from at least the town. And I think we need to make that more available because the gossip telephone version of things will take off faster than anything else. When you can actually look at the minutes and see, no, this was how this was voted. This is how this happened. And the lack of that creates, you know, it's like nature aborts a vacuum. If you have a vacuum of information that's authoritative and authentic from your government and its boards, your elected representatives and all, that's just gonna be filled by the listservs, the Facebook groups, the whatever it is, X, Twitter, blah, 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 kind of thing, you know. So I think both are extremely important.
Thank you, Jen. Jen, I'm glad you brought that up, and, I can't remember if it was, when we did the vote, I brought up the sort of select board highlights thing that the former town manager did do for a little while, and I think it was very well received. Mary Kay Brown sent us an email, because she couldn't be here tonight, requesting the same kind of thing. Potentially not just for the select board, but also maybe for the planning commission or other kind of major, so just like the highlights of the most recent meetings. And the reciprocal, I mean, one thing I would ask the public, as a current select board member until March, I won't engage on most of the social media responses and things, and so one thing that I would ask of the public is if there is a question that is directed toward the select board or the town manager or staff, that instead of asking it to Facebook first, do ask the town representative, whether it's the select board as a whole or the town manager, whoever it is, ask them first and then share that information with the community. But rather than put on a Facebook group, why did the traffic pattern change on Route 5? Like that's something that find the accurate source of information and then share that with the rest of the community. I think someone who won't engage, I will find that super valuable. And also just want to say, until March, every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m., I make myself available in person at the Tucker Box, what I call office hours, specifically to talk with people about anything that they are interested in. And it's just an informal thing that I do. We're happy to do that at different hours of the day or different days of the week. If that's, midday on a weekday is not convenient for anyone. Like, I am absolutely more than happy to sit down and talk with anyone face to face, but I will not engage in those other platforms.
I think that's pretty clear.
Ryan Farmersburg, I'm from what you're here. Couple of things I hear floating around with this is that, especially when you're talking about trying to reach people who don't have emails and everything. I think there's got to be a system out there that your website can tap into to a phone system where people can call in, listen to a recording of what the minutes were and that sort of thing, and then have very directed questions as far as, for them to respond to, almost like links. And then if you want to leave a comment, you leave the comment to a voicemail sort of thing. That way you keep it a little private and you don't have this kind of gossip, community thing going on, and take the social out of the media part of it. And it would be able to be reached by people who are not able to get online that have a phone and not have to do mass mailing or things like that that become more expensive or have to have somebody have it printed and all that sort of thing. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I kind of hear that there needs to be access to the information, and maybe if it's some of the direction of it and the questions with it is a little more pointed and directed, that maybe it'd be a little more positive rather than just throwing it out there like chum and letting people go at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
So one thing, I'm just following up on Marcy and Tim about the public comment, because I agree, I think, with parts of what they both say. That is one opportunity we have. Every select board meeting for the public to reach out to us, right? The idea of public comment essentially is like, it's a public comment. You have 3 minutes to basically say something, right? Like, I don't agree with this policy. What it's not really designed for, and it's not necessarily an appropriate forum for, is like a back and forth dialogue. Yeah. It's not, it's kind of like, people come in, they ask rhetorical questions. We don't really answer, it's just like, I think this is, we need to fix this problem, right? And that's it, that's what it's designed for, chance to get on the record. Nights like this, this kind of forum, the way that having a dialogue, I think it's much better suited in a way public comment isn't, to actually responding with and talking to members of the town, right? And one thing I think could be interesting, if the board would be interested in something, is that you have like a quarterly meeting like this. You have one in the spring, summer, fall, winter, right? And each one's in each one's.
That's when you started doing your thing.
Each one's like in a different village, right?
Yeah.
And we come here and it's like, almost like floor is yours, and then we can actually have people, we can have those conversations that are longer, where we can answer questions, we have people like John here to provide expertise. It's just that the public comment itself, it's like, we had to shorten it to 3 basically, because otherwise it goes on forever. And frankly, 3 minutes of just talking, if you're not in the back and forth, is a long time. I mean, Marcy has a lot to say. But I do think that's an opportunity, and you have them, maybe it's the winter, no one really shows up. It's all right. You've gone out, people who want to come in and have that conversation will show up, and you do that on like a quarterly basis, so it's not overwhelming, I think something like that.
It's in our calendar.
Could be helpful. So just my 2 cents.
I believe I suggested at a meeting once that as far as the select board comment, not specific agenda items.
Yeah.
That select board members be limited during the select board comments.
Yeah.
As the same as the public comments, also to the same number of minutes, because like with us, it shouldn't be a posturing, rhetorical, Yeah, blah. Kind of thing. It's not specific to an agenda item.
No.
It's a quick comment.
I'd like to add to that, I like your idea of a quarterly, but if there's 5 seasons, we'll take mud seasons, so it's easier, yeah.
So,
Lynn?
one of the things I hear a lot of is people asking for information, they're asking for minutes of meetings. Minutes of meetings are great, okay? The minutes of meeting don't tell the whole story. Minutes of meeting are just what happened, who made the motions and what. If you really want to know what's happening in the town of Hartford, you have to watch the videos, you have to come to meetings. The discussion part of the meetings is where so much is learned, and you see what your representatives of town are doing for you, and the questions they're asking, and the input that they have towards certain items. What you get out of a minutes is just the vote. That means nothing. And it's important for people to understand that. Yes, you can get that, but it means very little. I mean, some people may vote in a manner that they don't want to vote, but for the greater good, you know, they vote in that manner because they know that they don't have much of an option, you know? So there's a lot to be said for watching the meetings and coming to town hall and participating in the meetings.
Sue Buckles, I'm Selectboard. It has bothered me since I've been on the board that we ask for comments and then we don't do anything about them. So I thank you for bringing that up. It's like, why are we having these discussions if we're not going to? And so this idea of feeding them into a quarterly meeting, I think is very good. I think sometimes we need to talk about it sooner, but we haven't been doing that. So, I for one would like to work on setting up that system on the board, so.
Was there a reason it didn't work when you guys talked about it last time? Because it was like over a year ago, right? Because you've been doing.
We've been talking about for many years, but brought up each select boards ago, it's brought up. We did have a couple of meetings, but they.
Doing it in various villages.
So should I not bother?
No, I don't. Saying, was there a reason? Because.
I know we've had safety conversations at various ones before. I mean, I don't know, look, we have a great turnout tonight, a lot of enthusiasm. It seems like something, you know, maybe we need something like this to kind of spur us to actually do it, you know, and.
And food.
And food. Yeah.
So, I mean, we know that. I sort of love with him and a couple things like, I do think that many of the topics generated from public comment do get on future agendas. So clearly, like, the Wilder Park and Ride came up a lot during public comment. There were items that were addressed from that, including things that got on agendas. So it's not like it just appears and is disregarded. But like the things that we are there to take action are the things that are warned on the agenda. So the things that come up in public comment are input that then we look at for future agendas saying, okay, do we need to, you know, like work on the water lines at Hartford Ave? Obviously we do, you know, like those are so it's not like they're just gonna be saved up for listening session. Like listening session is something that we've aspired to for a long time. As you know, it's hard to coordinate with everyone. There's meeting fatigue. Like there is, you know, like I would do workshops and meetings 3 or 4 times a week. It doesn't like that, but it is a lot for everyone. And so to be able to, like it was a lot of work even to plan this, and we've got a strategic session coming up. We had a couple workshops that were on the books, and frankly, the board said, we can't do that much more. Like it's a lot to ask. And if it's not obvious, like we didn't go to college to be select board members, right? We are also just members of the community that we care about it as much as you do. And we really want the best for the town and for all the people that live and visit here and work here. And so, I do hope, like, I drafted this, proposed calendar for the year, which basically suggests having, you know, this was one of the things, having a listening session in each village, ideally at the libraries, and so we're working on it and we're still trying, we're definitely still trying, and it's just like, we get one, you know, we got this one on the books, so now I think that we'll be encouraged to do it again.
One disclaimer is just to be realistic in the sense that the fall is tough on select
With
board.
budget.
Many meetings to budget,
Yeah.
then you've got town meeting coming up right after
Yeah.
this.
So be extra nice to us when you see us.
At one point, the select board had gone to different town, village spots to just hold their regular meetings, which was actually really nice. So we went to like West Hartford, and we just had a regular meeting there, but then people from West Hartford knew it was happening there, so they came to that one. So you could just, if you want to host them in different locations, I know JM is really likes your space.
I mean, it is honestly good follow up on what Lanny said, like, having those video recordings, like, is such a great resource, having Jam record stuff, because not only for members of the public, but I go back to like recap. Wait, did they say what I think they said? Did I say what I think I said? And it's like, it's super valuable, so, but it is time to, we might expect everybody to always attend and always, but if you're, and especially like, if there is such a thing as those select board highlights, and you're like, wait, what was this discussion, or what's this one coming up about parking or traffic patterns or whatever, you know, V-Trans coming to present on this. There is a V-Trans presentation coming up on the bridge, the Layman Bridge, Bridge 73, which is the one right by town. Oh, no, it's the one from the Bugby Center.
That's right.
Over through 14. Anyway.
Is there a place to go to watch the previous?
Yes.
Yeah. And have that publicized on the website?
It is
like,
on the select board page, there is.
On the select board, but I think that's kind of a big thing. You know what I mean?
It's not the agendas, but on the select board page, if you go to the homepage, government, select board, what's nice there is it's got the Zoom link for every meeting. So if you want to join the meeting by Zoom, you don't have to go to the agenda, you can just go to the select board page. If you want to watch any of the videos from previous meetings, it's a link to Jam's YouTube channel, so you can go and find the meeting you want to watch. It's basically a good summary of at least.
But that needs to be put out there in words, so that people know exactly where to go, so they're not fumbling like he was fumbling to go for the agendas. Because you get pissed off, honestly, and give up.
So I feel like my question wasn't really answered at all about the problem with safety in town. I mean, where do we find out about that?
Well, one thing, the towns did, for better or worse, retain a consultant who did a lot of community outreach on the topic of safety and how do we define safety in our town, and what are people's greatest concerns. So the board did take some funding and apply it toward getting a comprehensive study of safety in Hartford relatively recently.
But what does that do for the people that live in the towns where we're unsafe? I mean, the study is great, but Bonnie just asked, is the police or the town aware of these homeless encampments? And I mean, we should be aware of them if we're walking our kids through the woods. I mean, I don't know what to expect, and it's a little scary, and I don't wanna live in fear.
Certainly.
You know?
Feel free to reach me.
Well,
I can
I mean, but what?
I can
what do
involve
we
whoever I
expect
think
to do?
has a jurisdiction over the matter, whether it's police outreach, whether it's the health officer, or some other approach.
I can tell you that we use John, and we use the outreach. I think I wrote it to you, Jennifer.
And I still.
I use myself. We had a house in Hartford Village that was, the people were using, it was drugs, it was constant, 24 hours, needles everywhere. We met neighbors. I think Heidi's the one that started it. We contacted the neighbors we knew, we each had neighbors that we contacted. We met down at the town offices, we met with John. Tom Pelletier was the deputy fire chief. We met with Brett Mayfield. They went and Carl Ebenhauser. And at the time, Carl Ebenhauser had a social worker. We saw them go to that house repeatedly. They eventually got those folks out of the house. The house hasn't been secured yet, but hopefully it will be in accordance with the town ordinances. One thing that came of that was what you guys talked about. When we met at that town building, we shared emails.
That's what.
And I told you, this spot is great. This is a great spot for you to reach out and David Carl Ebenhouse's number, call them. Say we want a meeting with Carl, with John, with Tom
I've been in
Pelletier.
touch with a few people in the last
So,
week.
I'm telling you.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, you did have some hands raised, so.
So that's,
But
that
there will be
communication.
transparency and there'll be honesty when we ask the questions as to where these places are, so we will know to stay away. I mean, if we ask whoever it is we're supposed to ask in town to know about them, I would just like to know.
So I know that this is not what this meeting is about.
Oh, no, you should I move?
I know that's not what this meeting is about.
No, I know, but I prefer like, yeah.
I have some thoughts on that because this isn't the place or the time. I really was coming to just put my foot in the water, but we do need to have that discussion because it is affecting all of us right here. And it's a very serious issue. I had to warn people the day before 4th of July. That needles could be down on that lawn while people are running around because I found a crack pipe in the middle of my lawn. So, and I had to ask for the question because I didn't know. And that's how the first post happened. So I know that someone is about, so I don't want to.
Yeah, and I appreciate. So we'll get emails saying there's some safety issues? or-
No, I can't answer that, but I don't know how they're gonna communicate.
Reach out to your neighbors and communicate.
Call John in the morning.
Yes. I mean, I just would like.
You call that town manager and you stay on it every single day.
Yes, one of those. I know. So I can say away.
So we do, I'm mindful of the time, we have.
It's got 5 minutes or so.
So I saw a hand here and I saw a hand here.
Jonathan Rook, Hartford Village. I will be brief because I believe in brevity. The moderator began by saying that he was a recovering lawyer. I will begin by saying I am a recovering New Englander. And by that, I mean, I believe in brevity. And one of the issues I have with public discourse is you get these people who go up in town meeting and they want to tell you their life story as a preamble to the point they're going to make. And if that means I have to listen to 4 minutes of preamble to get to their point, you're wasting my time. Sorry, I'm getting a little wound up because it's Lanny, God bless you. I appreciate what you had to say. But the minutes of the meetings are so helpful to me because I can digest it. I can synthesize it rapidly. I don't need to sit through the 3-hour meeting and all the rigmarole. We have lives. We're busy out there trying to make money, build our careers and that sort of stuff. There's a lot of stressors in our lives. I just can't make it to every board meeting. I can't, and then the school board meeting, and then, you know, it's just like, what am I gonna do? Listen to a meeting every night? Anyway, so I appreciate the input, but please use brevity. And if that means we have to knock people down to 3 minutes, God bless you, because I want to get out of there. Thanks. Well, time's up.
Hi everyone, I'm a member of the select board. This has been really wonderful. I really appreciate everyone coming, voicing their opinions about this issue. I'll just say quickly that I really love the idea of a newsletter. Windsor sets a really high bar with a weekly newsletter from the town manager, but you know, maybe we can start with bi-weekly or something and work our way up to it. Dawn and JD, I really sense the beginning of a wonderful partnership. I'm excited to see what happens. We can are capable of just thrilled that you're part of the team, both of you. And in terms of topic of listening sessions, I also think that that's, you know, this has been fantastic. I would love for it to be ingrained in our select board culture that we have this on an ongoing basis every, you know, quarter, so we can have these deeper conversations. I think as a select board that we can recognize that, you know, there's 7 of us for a reason. Not everyone has to be at every one, and we have long meetings, but you know, as long as there's 4 of us who can attend, then we can rotate through and we can communicate amongst each other. The select board, because we do see each other and make sure that we all know what the kind of pulse of the town is on these important topics. So that's all. Thank you.
Right. One last thing, just on like the idea of like a quarterly sort of meeting is not just to have the back and forth dialogue, but an opportunity for the select board, at least at the beginning of each meeting, to be like, here's what's going on, here's what's coming up, we're coming into fall, here's what to expect, there's gonna be construction here. There's gonna be this and that, on the ballot, where the budget's coming up, we're gonna do this, and that. Like, so we have an opportunity to use that as a way to get some of our points out there, and then engage with people and sort of give them an open floor to talk, so.
Yeah, my name is Richard Cook. I'm a Wilder resident here. I'm just gonna go back to basics, and one of them is trust. We have two governing boards that are elected. We have the school board and we have the select board, and you're all wonderful people. I'm not putting anybody down. But the the population of this community was hit very hard with what one board has done. And I think that's the word transparency. They've been throwing that word around now for years. And I mean, it's almost, what does it even mean anymore? It's been overused, trampled on, but it's a nice word to throw out there. But trust, I mean, the select board, you're a different body, you're hired, you're elected by us, but the community's lost trust in this board over here. You're an elected board too, so there's a trust issue out there now, what we're gonna hear and what's gonna be happening. The community's trust has been violated and in a major way. So it is gonna affect you folks too. And how are you going to regain the trust of all the people that have been impacted as hard as they have been? Yeah, brevity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, Joe Major, Hartford. One of the things I want to do is commend everybody here. The reason you are here is because you care. And if any elected official rolls their eyes after they leave, then they're wrong. I run the aquatic center, and the people who, and I'll put in quotations, complain the most are the people that I love. Because they're thinking probably what everybody else is thinking. And I tried to do that when I was on the select board, is I wanted you to tell me what is wrong, because if I don't know, I can't fix. And so that old adage, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, should be continuously with you. Do not let any one of the, and I include myself because I'm the treasurer of the town, any one of us off the hook tonight because we had this meeting. This should be a continual thing, and if you do not get the answers or the that you should have, then you should continue. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm sorry, select board. Okay. But that should happen. That should absolutely happen. And I commend someone like Heidi who who constantly bangs the drum on the things that she thinks are important in this town. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so Paul jump, anybody have?
I haven't spoken other than to say I'm a member of the select board, but just wanted to say thank you so much for everyone's input. I tried to devote tonight to listening and heard so many great ideas. I thought I would voice that I too feel very closely to a couple ideas I heard tonight, which is I think we need to develop better relationships. And like I remember growing up going to quite a lot of potlucks, whether that was like a family reunion or like 90% of the people in my town went to church, and of course I was one of them, right? So that's what happened, and I missed, right? I think, if we've got 11,000 people in the town, we should have 11 groups of people invited to a potluck. And let's say 200 of the 1,000 in each group show up. That's 200 people who are getting to know each other. Let's quarterly. And yes, getting to understand that we're all here, just like each of us tonight, we're all here because we want things to be better. for each other. And the other thing I wanted to mention was I also have a heart for the folks, many of you brought up in some form or another that, that you really want to find a way to involve the folks that aren't as involved in the board process, or voting, or town government, much following, that sort of thing. And I think that is going to be a huge part of what the new communications person does, or at least I really hope so. Finding ways to involve those folks who aren't plugged in, and offering a way for them to get plugged in. Thank you so much, Douglas.
I think we're at time. There are more comments, yeah?
No, I think I just want to thank everybody. I do have one other thing to add. There's speaking with Christina from Christina Dolan and Very Fine reporter from Valley News. She said that she'd be willing to hang around afterwards. Anyone would like to talk to her about what they might want to see, respect to local news, probably she'd be more than happy to discuss that. So.
And I would just ask that if you maybe be on the porch so that certain people who clean up in here.
Can I add one thing? I think I'm glad that you said that, but also, my name is Faith Dubois, I live in Wilder. I think it's really important that we kind of look around here and we see that there's not a lot of family members, right? People with young families, maybe. I think we need to think about that, or people who are living in instability, who may be working 12-hour days, right? Who have really good voices and can really add a lot to this. Maybe thinking about offering childcare, so people could, especially for the single parents, if they're not single parents in Hartford. There's a lot of people that are living in instability that would really help to have a calendar way ahead of time, so they can plan to have somebody watch it if they don't have childcare, or be able to take time off from work. Because it's a real barrier for a lot of our folks that live in Hartford. I saw that in COVID, and I see it now here too. So I just wanted to fill that in. Thank you.
Thank you. And this is a select board meeting, so we do have to make our motion to end it. So I'll do that. I'll take it.
I believe so. Thank you everybody for listening to us, and hope, I think we're able to hear from everybody. I hope we got to you all. I think I really love the participation tonight, so thank you.
Thank you.
I move that we adjourn at 7:36.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries. We are adjourned.
Thank you.